The inspiration for my spoken word material does not have a singular source. It actually has many sources. One of those would be the old radio programs from the 30s and 40s. I recall when I was in my single digits being able to catch some of those late at night on an AM radio station, all crackly and barely able to discern what was actually going on, but I found it fascinating nevertheless. Another inspiration as far as the spoken word stuff goes, when it comes to me performing it live, was actually a gentleman by the name of Brother Theodore. And I recall seeing him for the first time late at night in the early 80s on a late night talk show. And I was enthralled by him. I thought, man, who is this guy? And of course, in those days, there's no internet. And if you didn't have it in the newspaper, radio, or television, then you simply didn't have a way to find out what was really going on. So I would actually just be fortunate enough to catch him sometimes when he would be a guest on this program. And of course, later on, I was able to finally contact some people who actually knew him. And I think I talked to his agent at one time. But at that time, Brother Theodore was in very, very bad health. And he's passed away now. But I found him to be a very interesting fellow to watch. He's very engaging and a fascinating entertainer. And I think I was heavily influenced by him to a certain degree when it comes to actually performing my spoken word stuff live. Another one, as far as inspiration goes, performing live, would probably be William S. Burroughs. A lot of people don't give William S. Burroughs credit enough, I think, when it comes to him performing his material live. You hear this, you hear some of the spoken word stuff he does, yes, and you hear about him doing some of these films and some other things. But for the most part, his delivery in front of an audience, I thought, was amazing. And a lot of what I do when it comes to my spoken word material, the stories that I write and when I present them either on audio or to an audience, a lot of it is based basically on the fact that it's only as horrifying and as scary as your imagination will allow it to be. Because there's virtually no visuals in anything that I do when it comes to the spoken word stuff. It's just kind of me sitting there doing kind of a thespian bit there, to the audience. Or if you're listening to it, probably back in some of my earlier pieces, on cassette, possibly. I think I did one on CD. Yeah. But a lot of that stuff, again, I prefer to let the listener kind of concoct the images in their own head. And that can be quite scary sometimes, depending on the individual, of course. I used to perform my spoken word stuff live on occasion, yes. I did. I haven't done it in a long time. I think probably at least 20 years. Maybe 15. I would do these in like these little tiny, used bookstores someplace, or some of these little venues, kind of makeshift places where people would do poetry readings and things, and where spoken word stuff was actually kind of like the order of the day for these places. Very indie, very underground. And that's where I would do them at. I didn't do a lot of them. I just did a few of them, and a lot of times in college towns. But I found them to be a lot of fun. And the response was always really, really good, because everybody else was kind of getting up there and doing some poetry readings or some kind of dramatic prose, or something. And then I would come up there and I would do this spiel about cutting off pieces of yourself and sending them to somebody, or how much fun it might be to be in a grave, and of course that definitely would open some eyes, a little bit. But they never ran me off, and they never banned me, I don't suppose. But I kind of thought about doing it again. Yeah, I thought about performing the spoken word stuff live. I do a little bit of it with Cycle of Ruin these days. You'll see us doing one of our live shows, and what will happen is I will probably do a little bit of a piece, 30 seconds or so, in between set changes, kind of, sort of, as a bit of a distraction, kind of a smoke and mirrors thing while the guys are switching instruments and getting a drink of water, perhaps. And then when I end it, it kind of is part of an introduction into the next song. And so we've been doing that for a number of years now, and it seems like it works really, really well, and people seem to like it okay.